Ready to bet smarter? Get sports betting tips straight from the South Point Hotel and Casino.
I like the Commanders at 3.
I know if it hits 7, don't blink. Maybe that's what bettors are waiting for.
The wise guys were all over Florida last week, and they're against Florida this week. That's not a common pattern.
I think these teams could score a lot. I would look at the over.
I'm very high on Tampa Bay. I think they can go there and they can win this game.
Subscribe for free to Sports by the Book on YouTube. Your winning edge starts now.
Are you ready to lock in your bets and cash in on the games this weekend? Join Jeff Parles and Alex White.
One of my favorite plays here is getting 2 touchdowns with Florida State.
Even though the total's been batted down a little bit, I still think it's okay to go under.
Chris Andrews and Vinny Magliulo.
I don't think this is a great Kansas City team. I think the Chargers win this game.
All right.
If you see a hook here, it's not going to last long.
The wise guys are certainly not going to play the favorites.
Every NFL matchup, every college game that matters, the spreads, the stats, and the smart money plays.
Are we sure either of these quarterbacks are good?
Hell no, we're not sure.
Bet your winning edge with Football Frenzy, streaming live on YouTube every Friday at noon Pacific.
Here we go. It is time. It is Friday. It is Football Frenzy here at Sports by the Book, live from the South Point Hotel and Casino. I'm Alex White, alongside the bookmakers, of course, Vinny Magliulo to my left, and Chris Andrews, sportsbook director, to my right. Chris, dressed up tonight?
It's rodeo week.
Very good.
So we're supposed to wear the hat. I'm not always going to wear it. I wore my Steeler tie. I mean, to tell you the truth, I was going to wear my Penn State tie this week, but then when the Steelers debacle, you have to face the facts. You know, you have to look it right in the eye and say, Joe Flacco, you know, and I don't know what I would have said with Penn State.
What do? You hang yourself with it after this?
I got another one at home. I got.
I'll bring my hat next week.
I got that one tied in the noose. It's over the closet bar right now, and you know,
My hat's being steamed.
Very good. Very good. Because you both have those. Those are very nice cowboy hats. Good quality.
Well,
that a lot of the employees wear. Yeah.
Oh, this is a good one.
Yes.
Yeah, well, Mr. Gone bought this one for me, so it's pretty good.
But Chris, it was a division game Thursday night. Joe Flacco, as you mentioned. So, did you see a lot of money on the Bengals taking the points? That 5.5 didn't really budge.
No, we had money on the money line though.
Okay.
That's what So we came in this morning, and I get the figures at night. You know, Joe, my guy up there, he says, "Boy, I thought we had a big night." I said, "Yeah." They came in late. They bet the Bengals on the money. That was really like the only possible scenario where we lost was Bengals outright. You know, and of course that's what happened. Bengals and over. I mean, outright and over. And that's what happened.
Team's still trying to figure some things out, right? I mean, the Steelers are, I think, defensively, and we know they can score points, but I think it's the defense that's been the big shock, I would say, right, Chris? I mean, when you think about
yeah. Well, I said the highest priced defense in the NFL. But when we get to the pro segment in the next hour, some of my analytics that I've been doing, I want to point out some things there, but we'll wait till we get to the pros.
Okay.
We've got a lot of colleges to cover.
It's a good chart, by the way. Excellent. Very good.
It is, and the graphic is excellent as well.
Yeah, the guys did a great job putting
Yeah.
it together the way they did this week. I really like that.
And Sean pointed out to me earlier in the week, he said there's a few games I want you to look for, and there was some movement. So that's probably what you're talking about as well. So we'll get to
We'll
that.
talk about it in the next hour.
Don't go anywhere.
We got a lot
That's
of
a tease.
colleges to do.
That's a tease for an hour from now. We'll get to the NFL Week 7. But we've got college football Week 8. We have 5 ranked versus ranked. It's the most we've had this year. So let's start off with tonight's games, though, Vinny. And looks like a lot of bettors are taking the points here with Louisville. We've seen this before with Miami and Mario Cristobal. Kind of a sneaky spot, but they're both coming off a bye. So
Yes.
I think Miami, Florida will be prepared for this one. But 11.5 right now here at the South Point.
Yeah, and last year, Miami, this was at Louisville, 52-45. And indicative of this matchup. It typically has been a high scoring matchup. So even though the total has come down, maybe it's a little weather. It could be a little weather driven there, but I think that as we get further through today into the evening, the public will they've seen the scores in this matchup, and I think we'll see some over money. But to your point, Alex, 13 now down to we have the graphic up there, right? 11 and a half. So points being taken by the public.
Yeah, a lot of sharp money on the dog. I'll tell you the truth, I made the game 14, so I was okay with the opening number. But we'll see.
As I mentioned, I mean, typically I probably would like the dog in this spot, but coming off a bye week, this team has looked different. They're complete with Carson Beck. They're running the offense, so I decided not to touch it as well. How about this dog, Chris? I believe you like it as well. Bruce Marshall on the show on Wednesday said take Minnesota +8. Now it is down to 7, so I really couple 7.5s out there, but not many. They took the 8, they took the 7.5 here with Nebraska versus Minnesota.
Yeah, I think we opened as 8.5, and even then I was trying to be a little bit under the market. It was mostly 9, but they took the 8.5 and went to 7.5. They took that, went to 7. They laid a little bit of it back. I think Bruce kind of hit it. There's a lot of, if you look at something like the internal, like the metrics, just the stats, kind of points to Nebraska. But they're not covering numbers. They're winning some close games, which, you're getting over a touchdown. Well, I'll give this one out early. I like to give out my plays after 5 o'clock when the Westgate contest closed. But I am on Minnesota in the contest. Pardon me, I took +7.5. So a good number if you can find that, because that's, actually I was watching Joe Fortenbaugh this morning. He was talking about a different game. He said that's 7.5. That's usually one more possession that you have to be successful at as the favorite. It's one additional possession. So I thought 7.5. And to tell you the truth, I made the line 4. So 7 would be a take for me. But I like Minnesota in this spot.
Didn't play each other last year, but prior to that, Minnesota with 5 straight wins in this head-to-head matchup, and I think this is going to be to Chris's point. I could see the money showing for the home dog here. Just kind of a grind game. This is where Minnesota we're dogs at home here. We're going to be a touchdown or more when it opened, underdog. So not a real shock here that the points have been taken for sure.
Ryan and I did notice too on the earlier show. Still can get 8 on some of those parlay cards. So if you are stopping in at the South Point or the Rampart, pick up those cards, and that might be, sorry, Chris rolls his eyes. Might not be a bad one.
Or maybe check out what Westgate or somebody has.
There we go. Parlay cards everywhere.
You bring up a good point, Alex, too. There's folks that may not realize, the cards, the numbers are static. They stay.
Yeah.
They're not. They don't move. So that's a good point. When you're shopping, look at the cards as well.
I will just say, too, on one of my Westgate contest entries, I do have 7.5 as well. So 3 of us all like that one night. 2 more games, Vinny, Mountain West, and then ACC here. San Jose State, Utah State. Looks like action coming in now on Utah State. You guys moved to 4 here. High total, 61.5. And then the other one, UNC catching 9, travel spot. It's been rough for Bill Belichick there. And Cal, very impressive. And they are a 9-point favorite at home.
Yeah, San Jose State, Utah State, again, didn't play. You always kind of you look at head-to-head matchups and some history and all. And in this day and age, we've talked about it previously. In this day and age of the transfer portal in particular, look at last year. Probably not as much turnover, except for some schools. We'll get to that. And the next one, North Carolina, with plenty of it. But this one here. Utah State's been pretty much dominant in the matchup, and it did open 4, went down to 3.5, and now back up. So overall, support for both sides here. 61.5. Again, another total that's come down during the week, and when the totals come down during the week, typically more season play, more professional play. Public will get involved with totals as on game day or game weekend. So we'll probably see some over there. North Carolina, this is one of those teams with plenty of turnover here. They're seeing the support here. Maybe the road is okay. Maybe it'll relieve some of the distractions. We know there's been plenty of distractions, and more so now right, Chris, with the whole Belichick rumors and things like that. Is he still gonna be there? But they did take everything from 10.5 down to the current 9 in this one, right?
Yeah, I made the number 10, so I was okay with the opening number. The Utah State game, I kind of agree with the second move because the first move came in on the dog. I made the number a little bit higher. Not worth a play for me, but I did make the number a little bit higher. But Vinny, you mentioned some totals, and I mentioned it last week on the show. I'm going to mention it again. Watch my board on Mondays, and I got this guy comes in and he rattles the board, and he bets probably at least 90% totals, probably closer to 98% totals. Guy does pretty damn good. Yeah. Now, I move the hell out of it when he bets me. So if you're going to come in here and bet him, that might not be the best move, although, yeah, totals, whatever. But if you could find that same number and bet them elsewhere, watch my board on Monday because this kid comes in every Monday, usually right after lunch. And like I said, rattles the board, and this guy's been beating me for years. So, he's a nice guy, good player,
Consistent.
And, yeah, he bets, a couple thousand a game. God bless him. He does pretty good. And when he bets me, I move the hell out of it. So watch for that.
So when do your college numbers come? When do your college numbers open up, sides and totals? Are they both on Sunday?
No, we open Monday morning.
Monday morning.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're saying right after your opening lines.
Well, I usually
watch the board.
I try. Depends on how late at night I had Sunday night. But I try to work on my numbers. I try to get them up by 9.
Okay.
They're usually up by 9:30. I try to get them up by 9. Totals go up at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah, so he usually comes in like right around lunchtime, something like that, or right after lunch. But keep an eye on the board. You'll see there are a lot of coloring on that board after he hits them.
I'm smiling. Chris will remember it. Your grandpa will remember this. Even your dad too, Alex. There was a time when college numbers went up like Thursday for the weekend.
Yeah.
Right, Chris?
Oh, yeah. It was a lot easier back, though.
Tuesday, Monday, late Monday, and Tuesday for the NFL, and then
and here's the thing.
Thursday.
You're asking me when I put them up. I do put them up on Monday morning, and it's true. I do get to see the moves on it, but we also put up our own line. And, I mean, it's there's a whole bunch of games that are a point, half a point off what is the market. So, I check. We're doing okay with, and it's not so much I'm trying to pick winners. I'm trying to pick where the number's going to wind up.
Right. And we'll get to a few games where I did see you guys are different from the market still on Friday before the games on Saturday. And because you want action. You aren't just going to move
action,
it.
yeah,
Anyway,
for
so
sure.
we'll get through those. Let's go to Saturday's slate, and I'm going to skip a few here. We're going to start with a ranked team. Number 19, South Florida. Alex Golesh has done a great job here with this team. They're laying 3 touchdowns at home, Chris, against Florida Atlantic. And on your board, or on your card here, to score the most points, they are actually the favorite for Saturday's
What's
early
the total
slate.
in that game?
The total is 72.
And they're 21-point favorites.
And they're 21-point favorites.
That'll
yeah.
tell you why. I kind of like the higher number here. I think South Florida is really one of those teams that public really hasn't caught on to yet. They're a good team. They could really put up some points, and you can see with the total's 72. Now, points are at a premium in a game like Iowa, where the total's going to be in the 30s or something like that. Points are not so much at a premium when the total's in the 70s. So I do kind of like the favorite in this game. And by the way, we did a ton of business on this two-way action. I think they took 22.5 and 21.5. They laid back some 21. So right now, real good betting game for us.
There's a lot of teams that are going to be mentioned and are seeking that additional playoff berth outside the Power Four conferences. Certainly, and South Florida is one of them, sitting at 5-1, 2-0 in the conference, and with some signature wins so far. Right? Let's face it. So, believe it or not, this has gone. This matchup has gone to the visitor the last couple of years, but I don't see. I think this is a much better South Florida team than in recent years too, and they've, again, given their position, right, South Florida in the Tampa area, they're recruiting. There's a lot of quality players that are not getting on at Miami or getting on, at Florida State. So, and the University of Florida. So South Florida has reaped the rewards in recent years.
That's a real good point, Vinny. And I mentioned it before about Texas. Well, Texas and Florida is probably, the two of the hotbeds of high school football recruiting. Some other states are in there too. But, a lot of these kids are maybe not that they're not good enough to play for a Florida or Florida State, but they want to get and play right away.
Sure. Yeah.
You have a better chance of doing that at, a lot of these Florida schools, and some are a lot better than others. But South Florida is definitely one of the good ones. Central Florida.
UCF's another one, yeah.
Yeah, UCF.
Yeah.
Florida Atlantic, Florida International, not so much. But, they got to, correct those programs. But, keep an eye out. If they do correct them and get the right guy in there, those are the kind of teams that can jump up. Listen, college football is a whole new world. We're going to get to it later. When you see Vanderbilt favored over LSU, it tells you the world has changed.
Good point. Yep.
Tampa, not a bad place to play either until they try to jump to Miami or somewhere like that. So good point by both of you. Let's go to Columbia here. This one has been all over the place, Vinny. Oklahoma did not look great. We know John Mateer was not 100%. Still a favorite over South Carolina here. 5-point right now, total 43.
They might have rushed him, Alex, and I think what I give him credit for being a warrior and being a leader. Look, the reality is, and we'll get to Texas played their best game of the year last. That's what we expected out of Texas, going into the season. And but Oklahoma, Mateer, we'll see how he rebounds here. The school of thought with the way the betting has gone so far is that they will respond here. And South Carolina, they're not what they were a year ago. Now the question is, here we are, we're getting into the second half of the season. Chris, are we going to see the South Carolina from last year's second half, this year's second half? I'm not so sure. I don't think so.
Well, that's a great question.
Right?
I think you were right though that I think Mateer was kind of hustled back before he was ready to play. Really, you only need this much difference, between a reception and an interception. And he did not play well last week. I don't know how his thumb is this week. South Carolina, you're right, has been terribly inconsistent this season. I kind of have a feeling they're going to play well in this game. I made this number a little bit lower. But Oklahoma, probably somebody has some numbers. How do these two teams do after the Red River rivalry? And I'll get to the other game a little bit later, too, when we talk about Texas playing Kentucky. Mm-hmm. But, I think that was a big disappointment traveling now all the way to the essentially the East Coast, to play a South Carolina team that has a lot of talent, but they admittedly have been very inconsistent.
Got to think they have a good home field. They're also very good special teams, so that could help them out here at home. The number's gone down. I would have taken more points here with South Carolina, if anything, but I skipped on that one. I do just want to bring up 345, 346 rotation number, UConn versus Boston College, because Bruce Marshall did also give out UConn money line, just because of where Boston College has been. I don't know if you're on the other side or anything, but just throwing that one.
UConn off the bye too, in this game, and 3 straight wins. Boston College 5 straight losses. So
correct.
That's a big rivalry too in that area of the country.
Sure. Yeah.
So I like the points there, and I do believe money line as well for him in that one. Let's go to Clemson here. Now, we just found out last few days, Cade Klubnik has ankle injury going on, so that explains the line movement here. Now at your shop, Chris, 5.5-point favorite for the Tigers over the Mustangs, total 51.
This did not get a play out of me, but I thought about playing Clemson. I just think it's, first of all, Klubnik has not been that good this year, so missing him is not like missing him last year. I do think Clemson's a team I think's improved, and we see them. A lot of guys don't like Sweeney. I'm probably one of them. I'm not crazy about him either, but they've been a disappointment. A lot of people had them penciled in as certainly a national championship contender. They have not been that. They're playing a little better than people think. I made this number. I thought the opening number, which was like 9, pretty much. I thought that was okay. Even then, I thought I would give a little consideration to the favorite. I would never play them now, but I do think there's been a bit of an overaction on the part of Klubnik being out.
Backup is a sophomore, Chris Vizina, and not much experience here. Probably better that he's going at home than on the road. SMU, not as good as they were a year ago, particularly defensively. Last year they did a lot to from a turnover standpoint, winning a turnover battle. Not so much this year. That said, they could score points, and so we have to see that Clemson can keep pace with them. Obviously, the total came down as well as the number, so by about 4 points, now sitting at 51.
That's what kept me off of it, Vinny. They can score points, and I'm waiting to see which week are they going to just flip the switch. I don't know, but they do have Kevin Jennings, very good quarterback there. So at first I was with you, Chris. I thought that the number was a little short on Clemson, stayed off of it, and now we're all the way down to 5.5. Yeah. So might be an overreaction, but we'll see. Vinny, this is a great game. Should be, at least. Duke favored over Georgia Tech. Mm-hmm. Georgia Tech, number 12 right now in the country. Trying to keep it going here, but they are a dog, and two really good quarterbacks in this matchup. The total is 60.
This is an example of what I mean by polls don't determine prices. You see that Georgia Tech is number 12 in the polls, and Duke is unranked, yet they're the home. They're favored here. So that's not a knock on the pollsters. That's their job, and they look at things differently. Although I do believe they pay very close attention, not publicly, to the numbers that we hang and how teams are favored and underdogs. But you got to remember this. So Duke coming in off a bye, they shocked the Jackets last year at Georgia at their place. So I think Georgia Tech is fully aware of that, and of course they come in at the top of the table in the ACC. So a team that's been on the rise for a couple of years, quietly last year and the year before, but they've arrived here, and I suspect that we'll see. That game did, it opened 3, it got bet down, and a couple it got as low as 1, I think, and then we saw some Duke money, Chris. But I think there's going to be support for both of these teams. I think there's maybe a late move on Georgia Tech in this game.
We got a lot of good two-way action in this game. We did get down as low as 1. Money came
two-way
back on
action.
Duke. We're sitting right now at 1.5. I see the market is mostly 2.5. Well, we had a lot of bets at higher numbers. This is a great game. I kind of like Duke a little bit, but not much. Certainly not one of my plays. This is a really good game, kind of under the radar.
Yeah.
When Duke lost Mike Elko as their coach, I thought, well, they're going to go back to being, 6-6 every year. But they've done a really good job, despite Elko's loss, and I think he was one hell of a coach, and he's proven that at A&M. This is a really good game. And Haynes King, a guy who I know a little bit, is Dave Bartu, thinks that he's the best player in the country. So Bartu does his homework, I can tell you that. So, Dave, I hope you're listening out there. A shout out to him. He's really a smart guy, and that's what he thinks is probably deserving of the Heisman, one of the best players in the country.
And they were one team that definitely needed a bye week because they were pretty banged up early on, but figured out how to get those wins still. So we'll see. It should be a really good game. And Ryan just had up the graphic for team to score first. They're both pretty high up there for the early window. On Saturday, the two that are the favorite, though, they're playing each other. The two top ones, TCU, Baylor. That's very interesting, those two playing each other. And then next is Duke, then Boston College, Miami, Ohio, and then Georgia Tech right there. You're still getting double digits, 10-1. Do you think they can go out and score first?
That's a good prop. We get a lot of action on that, and that's a fun prop, too.
It is a lot of fun. All right, let's go to Indiana. Kirk Cignetti is staying there because of his extension. Now he is the third highest college football coach. 27.5, Chris, at home against Michigan State after a big win for them over Oregon.
Well, I made a number 28. I have no real opinion in this game. Like I said, mentioned a couple of times, guy I highly respect, said, we'll look out for Michigan State this year. They've been a little in and out. That's a lot of wood, but I got to tell you, boy, you're standing in front of a freight train. You want to get in front of this Indiana team.
So Childs, quarterback for Michigan State, banged up, questionable for this game. I think he's going to do everything he can to go. Let me tell you, one of the things I love about Cignetti's style is he pays attention to the details, and he's fully aware that Michigan State has won the last 2 times they've gone into Bloomington. So I know that that's not going to get lost on him, and that's certainly something that he's going to convey to his players. 4 touchdowns, it's a big number, but especially if Childs can't go or is not 100%, and players rallying too around the fact that their coach is staying. This Indiana team is good. I mean, they're better than they were a year ago. Last year was no fluke.
Yeah, let me just say, between Indiana and Kansas, 2 traditional basketball powerhouses, I've always wondered, how can they not be better at football? All of a sudden, Indiana got the right guy. I think Kansas got the right guy, too.
Yep.
And I hope they keep this guy around. I mean, I know they're having a little bit of a down year this year. Not terrible. But Lance Leipold at Kansas, I mean, I think this guy's one hell of a coach. And if he stays there, there's no reason they can't be right up in the top echelon of the conference and eventually a national championship. So glad to see that with 2 traditional basketball schools.
I do want to just tell you one thing about this game, and my dad's been following this year, and I guess it came from Dave Koken, and he used to follow trends where if one team was going to rush for at least 150 yards plus double up their opponent. So let's say the expected rushing yards for Oklahoma is 300 and Michigan State 150, but it has to be at least 150 for the team that doubles up. They cover the spread at like 67 to 70% of the time. This is one that was actually on the list. I could actually find the exact numbers expected. Oh, Indiana 198, Michigan State 98. So that means they're supposed to cover the spread. You guys both said you don't love laying that much, but you'd lean that way.
Well, like I said, you stand in front of a freight train, you're betting against these guys right now.
So there's a couple more I'll point out too. But yeah, he's been following that weekly. I missed this week. So I wanted to share a few. Let's go to a very trendy dog, Chris. And this is Purdue against Northwestern, coming off a big upset. Purdue was catching 3.5, and now I believe it is 3 everywhere, including your shop. Total 46.5. Were you interested in this dog with Barry Odom's team?
I made a number 3. I think Barry Odom. I'm not sure why I didn't do better at Missouri. But he did great here at UNLV, and I think he's doing well at Purdue. Yeah. I mean, that was a team that's been certainly in the lower echelons of the Big Ten for a lot of years. Vinny, you and I remember days back when Drew Brees was with this team, even going back to Bob Greasy when we were still in diapers. I think you and I were probably watching some football there. But they've had a good tradition. It's really fallen off in the last couple of years. But, I think Barry Odom, boy, I know he left UNLV, but he left the program in good shape. He really did. And he improved the program. I think he'll be successful at Purdue. All that being said, I made the number 3. I got no opinion here.
They're competitive. They're much more. I mean, they were a disaster last year, and he had to go. I mean, let's face it. I mean, you're going to make that money, and you're going to the Big Ten, one of the best conferences, top 2 conferences in the country. So, understandable. And you look at this one, Northwestern, with wins and covers in the last couple of years. But even last year, the game was close. It was a 1-score game a year ago. So, I think this will be a game where we'll see support for both teams, and and both of them trying to build their programs. Again, it's going to be difficult for these 2 programs. I think, they're in with the Ohio, obviously Ohio State with Oregon. I mean, the expansion that's taken place. We've mentioned Indiana is up and coming, but from a competitive standpoint, the players want to be there. They want to play at these schools and play in this conference and get the exposure for the next level. Play on Sunday.
I stayed off of it as well, but I can see why people are looking for that letdown spot for Northwestern. And to Vinny's point, very competitive there.
Letdown? Why? Who'd they play last week? Oh, never mind.
I wasn't going to say. Too soon. All right, Vinny, ranked versus ranked here. And Chris mentioned it earlier. Vanderbilt is a 2-point favorite at home against LSU. First time being favored over LSU since 1948. Yeah. A nice little streak there. Total's 48.5.
And Vandy coming in off of a bye. Here's another example, right, with the polls. I think that both these teams at 5-1. So there's positioning here for the conference, and the conference will translate to certainly the playoff, right, and how teams are going. Now, let's face it. This is a conference where there's going to be multiple bids for the playoff. So an important game for both of these schools. LSU by a touchdown a year ago. I think LSU's defense has been better this year, and that's what they had to sort out, right? So I could see where, this game here, if it gets to 3, which it's bounced back and forth between 2 and 2.5. I'm not so sure if it gets to 3, but if we do, as I oftentimes say, it's not even a blink. It's like a contact lens. Forget it. It's not going to be there. So,
when I first made my numbers, I made this game pick 'em. As I looked a little more closely, and I know I have LSU. I don't have my top 10 here. I think I have, if they show the graphic, I think I had LSU number 10. I think. The more I looked at them, they may be a little bit of a paper tiger, I think, though.
I had them.
The more I looked at it, not that I liked Vanderbilt in the game to play, enough to play, but I think Vanderbilt's probably deserving to be a very, very small favorite. And like I said before, nothing will tell you how college football has changed than Vanderbilt a favorite over LSU. But I will say this too: they did not cover against Alabama, but they very easily could have. That was just a play here or there. This is a pretty decent team.
Coming in off the bye too. A lot of people want to, especially in college, the team having 2 weeks to get ready for an opponent.
Right.
They get to see him play the week before as well.
Garrett Nussmeier has not been the same this year for LSU.
Not.
Their offense is.
But Vinny said their defense is vastly improved.
Yeah.
But Nussmeier's been a little bit disappointing. Put him with Klubnik, both guys who a lot of guys had them penciled in as like 1 and 2 in the draft. Well, not anymore, I would say.
Right, and favorites for the Heisman.
Film, and they know. Listen, they've identified them as the key, the best player on that team. If you stop them, then you put yourself in a position to not only compete but win the game. And I think that's what we're seeing.
Well, and a lot falls on both of those quarterbacks in their offense, where these other teams, like Vandy, actually, they run the ball a lot. Ohio State, who else? Indiana, they're very balanced. For those two, not so much. But we'll see. I have nothing in this one. I really didn't have a strong feel. I think that number's probably right. And I couldn't fault you if you wanted to take points with LSU. Their defense is really good. But it was a stay away from me. Let's go to the Smurf Turf here, Chris. We have seen this matchup twice for the Mountain West Championship, and Boise State has gotten the best of UNLV both times. They are laying 13 at home. Total 62. Now, UNLV is undefeated, 6-0, but they're pretty fortunate to be, I will say.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's a lot in my brain from the old UNLV and the old Boise State, but I did make this a little bit higher, but not certainly enough to play. I have a lot of respect for Boise and what that program's been in the last 20 years or whatever. But UNLV, they're coming on, and listen, Barry Odom did a great job. Mullen's a pretty darn good coach too. It was a pretty good outfit. I said, made the number just a skosh higher. Not enough to play for me though. Nothing.
I'll tell you here's the key, and I think what the bettors are saying here, and as the game has moved up 2 points to the favorite, first of all, a better schedule, tougher schedule for Boise, but UNLV cannot in this game against this opponent get down the way they've gotten down against the teams that have been on their schedule previously. Credit the Rebels; they're 6-0. They have found ways to win games, but you get down the way they've gotten down in the past month, that's not gonna work against Boise State. So, I'm a little surprised that totals come down in this game by a couple of points, but there's another total I could see going up on the part of the public.
Yeah, it's still pretty high total, 62.
It's still I'm very impressed with the quarterback at UNLV. Calandria came over from Virginia because he kind of reminds me of a little bit of Diego Pavia. He's just a dude. 40 points, of course, that shows you how the defense is. 40 points in that fourth quarter between them and Air Force, just going back and forth.
Yeah.
We'll see what he can do here in this.
I was on the loser there, but that was a damn good game.
It was exciting for sure. Vinny, I'm going to let you take this one first. At the Rose Bowl, UCLA is a 3-point favorite over Maryland, and the total 52. I've been on Maryland the last 2 weeks, and this is where it stops. I don't like the travel spot, and I mean, Maryland's coming off of back-to-back heartbreakers where they really could have won either of those games.
We're going to see some of these crisscrossing the countries matchups in the Big Ten for sure. Maryland started off great, right? We talked about it that first month of the season, 5 weeks of the season, where they were one of the surprise teams. They've lost a couple in a row, and they let a couple get away. I mean, 2 weeks ago, especially against Washington, right? Meanwhile, UCLA reborn. I mean, look at the last 2 weeks, what they've done. So two straight wins here. Hovering, I would say, overall, and Chrissy can attest to it, which I love to say, two-way action on this game, and I think we'll probably see it. Although maybe more support for the Bruins, Chris, as we get closer to kickoff.
Boy, Maryland, betting wise and playing wise, has been more betting wise. The volatility in their number has been monstrous, probably more than anybody that I could think of. I'd have to do a little study. Speaking of studies, I think at the end of this year, we're going to have to take a little closer look at like some of these ACC teams, North Carolina going all the way to the West Coast.
Yes.
Conversely, Stanford had to go play a 9 a.m. game last week. A couple happened in the Big Ten as well. I think we need to take a look at that. I'm not ready to make any conclusions. I've been trying to watch it. I don't see anything conclusive yet.
But they're alternating too, right? So a coast-to-coast trip, either a bye or a home game, but they're still within a month's time. It's considerable. I mean, and some of the game times we've seen too. The USC game against Illinois a couple of weeks ago, where it was a 9 o'clock Pacific time start for SC. So
Stanford had to do the same thing. We kind of passed over because it wasn't a big game where the USC was. But I think at the end of the year, we need to take a look back at that. Anyway, that being said, I think Maryland, I think we've kind of figured out kind of who they are right now. Pretty good. Not great, pretty good. UCLA, if you judge by the last couple of weeks, I know I picked them. My cousin was joking with me that they were my sleeper team at the beginning of the year. They finally woke up against Penn State, of all things. But I made this number a little bit higher. I made it 5. So not enough to play, but I kind of like UCLA in this spot.
Well, Tim Skipper's done a great job, and the new OC there kind of found Nico I's strength. So, yes.
Rick Neuheisel's son.
That is correct. So, I mean, I think it's kind of worth the play here, laying the 3 with the travel spot added in there too. So I'm with you, Chris. I think it should be a little bit higher. And I've been on Maryland taking the points the last few weeks. So let's go to the big house here. Michigan was a brutal loss against USC. They controlled the line of scrimmage and really handled them in that one. I thought it was a great bounce back spot, but it looks like the bettors or the sharps don't agree with me. Michigan 5-point favorite at home, total 50.5 against Washington.
Well, the first move was definitely on the dog. Well, we got some play today back on the favorite. So a guy I highly respect bet me the minus 4.5. So, I think it's right in there. What did we open the game? I think 6 is
5.5. Went to 6 right away, Chris.
I think that was a pretty decent number. Now, again, it's right in that spot where I have no real opinion as far as making a bet. But I think Washington's probably a little bit better than people realize. It's a pretty good team. I like them against Ohio State. They did not belong on the same field as Ohio State. They were not good enough. But they might be on the same level as Michigan. But again, these are two teams I give big home field advantages to. And the fact that Washington, another West Coast team, they're not going all the way to the East Coast. They're going to the Midwest. I don't know. I don't really favor either side, but that's one thing to look for is two very powerful home teams, and now, of course, Washington on the road.
Wasn't so long ago. This was the national championship game. couple of years, right? Think
Yes.
about that, right?
I got a great story in my book about, back in the 70s at the Stardust with these two teams.
Oh, in a Rose Bowl
It
game.
was in the, I'll try to tell
Yeah.
it very quickly. So when we went into the Stardust, there were so many shenanigans that I got to take a look at. And if you remember the game, Vinny, this is the 70s. You and I remember it.
I know the game you're talking about.
Michigan was the favorite in the game, and Washington beat them outright. But you could look. I was looking at the tickets that they had on the game, and they walked it all the way down. Michigan plus 13, Michigan plus 12.5, Michigan plus 12, Michigan plus 11.5.
No full point moves.
Yeah, all the way down. And I'm like, man, everybody knows. Michigan opened the favorite. Washington wound up beating them. I can't remember the exact score, and I can't remember the exact tickets, but it's funny. They walked. Every one of those was losing tickets.
Oh my gosh.
There's a lot of monkey business in that outfit. A lot of it.
The Stardust back in the 70s. What first sports book, by the way, in a strip casino in 1976.
Yeah.
And there are a few books and movies out there about the Stardust, and not necessarily named the Stardust in the movie Casino. But anyway, that the Tangiers was the name.
I got to witness a lot of that.
That was
pretty
Chrissy
funny.
was there for that. I was in there betting. I did not get the benefit of the 12 or the 11 and a half.
No one did, Vinny, unless you were on the right side.
And the people that did were not customers.
Yeah.
So anyway, this a game as Chris indicated, has come back down. So check on the running back for Michigan, Haynes, who's an important part of that team, and he's not 100% and he's questionable.
That's right. Him and USC both lost their starting running back in that game last week against each other. Let's go to Gainesville here. The Gators are trying to get another win at home because we saw them beat Texas, then go on the road and get whooped by Texas A&M, and now they're back at home, laying 9, some 9.5 still out there if you do like the dog, against Mississippi State, who is coming off a bye week. Vinny, 51.5 is the total.
Yeah, Alex, kind of toggling back. I could see the take on the 10, the original number, but it has toggled back and forth between 8.5 and 9. Mississippi State, you mentioned coming in off the bye, but also they started off very well, 4-0, and then have lost their next 2 games. So a couple of weeks to get ready. But again, here's a Florida team with some controversy, right, Chris? But playing hard for their coach. I give the players a lot of credit, and I give the staff a lot of credit for keeping the focus and continuing the battle.
This is a stay away for me. I think if you look at pure numbers, right, Florida a little bit better, certainly deserving to be a 9-point favorite. But, like Vinny said, Miss State started out strong, lost a couple games. I think we're seeing more of like what we expected out of Miss State, which was not much. Gun to my head, I'd probably play the favorite in this game, but I don't want to lay any big points with Florida.
I like the dog here just because, and I agree with you because I did make it 9. So I'm kind of stretching a little bit here. But Mississippi State lost at home to Florida last year. And in that game, Blake Shapen, that's when he got hurt. It was like the 4th game of the year. He's recovered, obviously. Off season has been the starter all year long. I went back and looked, okay, well, how many road games has he had? He had a pretty easy one. And then, was it Tennessee or Texas A&M? One of them. Mm-hmm. They lost, but they were competitive. And last year, his road game was against ASU in week 2, and Mississippi State lost by 7 points. Do you remember how bad we thought that was of a loss last year?
Oh, yeah.
We said, how bad does Mississippi State have to be to lose to ASU, who everybody has dead last projected in that conference? So
16th in a 12-team conference.
Right.
That's pretty bad.
Yes, and then see what happens there. But I think 9.5, 10 would be even better. I think it's enough. I think they can stay competitive, but we'll see which Florida shows up here. And I know their defense is really good, but I still don't think their offense is very good. So see if they can get some points here, kind of keep it close like they did against Tennessee this year. Let's go to another, I believe we're still ranked versus ranked. Are we not? Nope. Auburn is not ranked. Missouri is, though, and that is why there was a favorite flip here. Shout out to Dean Hilt because he did request this game. Bruce Marshall, he likes the favorite. He thinks they're a step above Auburn in this one. Vinny, can you tell us All the movement that you've seen on the side in this one between Missouri and Auburn.
Yeah. By the way, a good friend of ours from Kansas State University, Dan Kister. He is the professor of economics there. Of course, he comes to see us every year for the NCAA tournament. So Dan's traveling. He's going to this game, and he's got an interest in this game. You know, here's what I want to see in this game, because you have Missouri with such high hopes a week ago, right, at home against Alabama. You have to watch how they come out of that game emotionally, right? I think they're better. I think it'll be better than what happened with Penn State losing at home to Oregon a few weeks ago. And we know what happened. You know, that tailspin has been obviously well chronicled. I think the Tigers are the Missouri is a better football team, and I think that we can. I don't see a collapse here, but you want to pay attention to that. But you've also got Auburn, who started the season very good and 3-0, and then they've lost 3 in a row, right? And tough losses too, right? By the way, they should have, by all accounts, not only covered last week, but won that game. And you know, we oftentimes talked about, you know, James Franklin knowing what the number. I got Kirby Smart last week. What was that all about? But anyway, so anybody that had Auburn last week certainly constitutes a bad beat. But the move here to Missouri, I think, has a lot to do with how their coaches are preparing them to recover from last week's disappointment, Chris.
I made this game pick 'em. So we've written a ton of business in this game. I have no feel for either side. I have no fear for either side. You know, I just want to keep writing a lot of business. And, of course, it can't come tied. But I hope it doesn't come one either way, because otherwise, you know, like I said, we just have written a ton of business. And I think this is a really good game, too. A very interesting game. You know, Auburn, little disappointment the last couple weeks. You know, Missouri, yeah, I guess they're disappointed, but I mean, they lost by 3 to a great team. You know, I mean, I wouldn't be too disappointed, but you never know how 20-year-old kids are going to react. But this should be a hell of a game.
Good time of the game, too, 4:45, which, by the way, bet the over on that. It's going to be closer to 5 o'clock. These start times, they mean nothing.
Say what you want about soccer, but when they tell you a game's starting at 1, it starts at 1.
That's right.
Very good. I'm with you. I don't understand how people have such strong opinions on this matchup here between these two. I don't know. I think they're very evenly matched, and they're both coming off heartbreaks. You're right, Vinny. Auburn could have been up 17-0 against Georgia in the first half, but they let that carry over to the second half, and Kirby Smart had his team focused. Hopefully they shake that off, and they're ready for this one.
Yeah.
Let's go to Houston here. We got a good one. I don't have a South Point number. Arizona going into Houston. We got pick.
That's probably why it doesn't show up on your screen.
Open Houston 2.5.
Okay, so we're seeing Vinny. Go ahead and take this one. Seeing support for Arizona, who lost a brutal one last week as well to BYU. And
both teams hurting at their skill positions too. And again, the skill positions out there for folks that may not know when we refer to that. Your offensive, you know, your quarterback, your running back, your wide receivers, and things like that. So both teams really soar in those areas there. 27-3 a year ago in Tucson. So and this Houston team, though, very, very solid, very good team, and another team kind of under the radar, and at home here in a position. This is if they get this win and go to 6-1, they enter into that discussion about the group of 5 team or teams that could we could see in the postseason, Chris.
I thought Houston was a deserving favorite in this game. That's where we open it. Of course, the bettors feel otherwise, you know, and we're still at pick 'em at our joint, but. You know, I see 1 Arizona, 1. I think I even saw 1.5. But I thought Houston deserved to be the favorite in this game. Again, I was looking at that Westgate contest. They had Arizona 1. I mean, that's not enough for me to play. You know, but I do think Houston should have been the favorite in this game, and I was surprised so much money did come in on Arizona.
Yep, to Vinny's point, 5-1 right now, and remember that one loss is to a very good Texas Tech team. So I think that might be throwing some people off. And they've forgotten that this Houston team is really good.
They lost their quarterback in that game, Houston, right? Alex, I think he had to leave the game.
Connor Wegman.
If I'm not mistaken, against in that Texas Tech game, and the game got away with him from him. If I'm not mistaken, I thought he got hurt in that game.
Well, that was 2 weeks ago. They had Oklahoma State last week, though, so
Yeah.
should be good to go. But we'll have to double check that as well. Where are we going next? Looks like we're going to
Baylor and
TCU.
Yeah.
Let's go to this shootout, which we're expecting a shootout anyways. Total 66. TCU is a 3-point favorite. I don't think there's been much movement on this one, Chris.
No, I think I made TCU 5. So again, that we're getting borderline there. Anything under 3, I think I would have considered a play. But we haven't had a lot of movement, but we have had a lot of action. That's a good game, good betting game. Again, one of those games in the 9 o'clock window. It's like we had a lot of good games all over the board tomorrow, and that's one of them. So I would tell you, get here early because we're starting out with the Rockets' red glare pretty quick. But this is going to be a good game. No real opinion. Gun to my head, I'd probably take the favorite.
In-state rivalry, right? I mean, obviously a conference game as well. TCU had owned this head-to-head matchup in recent years up until Baylor won it in a high-scoring game last year at home, 37-34. So, but you know what, Alex, you hit it on the head, and so far so good. Support for both sides here. Number holding steady at 3.
I will just say, I mean, both really good quarterbacks, and if you do watch this game in the morning, Sawyer Robinson for Baylor, Josh Hoover for TCU, both playing really good. TCU definitely has the better defense here, and they're at home. So, I mean, a field goal there, I would lean that way. But that 9 a.m. window kind of scares me. Is that witching hour,
These are college kids. They're up early.
They're up all night.
Probably up all night, a lot of them.
No, they're usually pretty good. They're in their hotel, right? They're
Supposed to be.
Yeah,
I would say so.
The teams know.
Listen,
now.
you're Division I football player. You better be taking this seriously.
I think so.
Yes. Let's go to Athens here. Chris, the Bulldogs. Now, this was 7.5 all week. Now, they took the hook with the Rebels. They're undefeated. Total 56.5.
It's funny. I'm looking right now at my Georgia, and everybody knows how I do my power ratings. 100 is you're the top team. Look at Georgia. Going into this season, I had them a 94.5. Right now, I have them a 90. So they've been a little bit disappointing. Not terribly so, but a little disappointing. Now, conversely, Mississippi, I started them at an 85.5 before the season. They're now an 87. Even with that win last week of 3 points when they were, what were they, 33-point favorites or whatever, I think Georgia is just a little bit overrated. They're a little, disappointing is a hard word to say for a team that is that good. But, at 7 or at 7.5, I think that back door is going to be open. Mississippi can definitely put some points on the board. I like Mississippi in this game. I think they keep this one close.
Togler, right, laying 7, taking 7.5 to Chris's point. Mississippi might have been looking a little bit ahead. Remember, we talked about they were such huge favorites last week. They have Georgia here, and I think they've got Oklahoma next week. So a big test for them coming up. Both of these teams near the top of the standings in the SEC. So it's a big test for both of them. But I think midday game for us, 12:30 Pacific start, one of the games that'll be certainly highlighted, from a viewing standpoint, but also from a betting standpoint, no doubt.
100% looking ahead, Vinny. I mean, they probably didn't even prep for Washington State very much. They're just already looking ahead to Georgia here. I would go first half taking the points. I think you get 4 with Ole Miss. Georgia has just been such a slow starter.
They have, yeah.
I get nervous after halftime with Kirby Smart because he's one of the best to make adjustments. But this Rebels team, I would say, they are very talented. So I think they can hang around.
One other thing, and every now and then we throw this in, because this was a game of the year, too. And
where'd we have it, Vinny?
12.
Did we?
Georgia 12.
Okay.
They really didn't grab it. But that speaks to, I think, Mississippi's success. We knew they would be high scoring. I think they're a little better defensively, too. And to Chris's point, not so sure if this is as good a Georgia team as we've seen in the past, even though they're both good. Listen, I mean, 6-0 and 5-1 in the SEC is certainly solid.
Trinidad Chambliss, that was the quarterback change that they made because I think he's been the biggest difference maker for Mississippi here and really helped their power rating and why we all think highly of them now. Let's go to Fayetteville here. It will be the second week for Bobby Petrino to run this Arkansas team. They are at home. They were competitive against Tennessee last week. They lost 34-31, and now they get Texas A&M, the number 4 team in the nation. They are catching 7.5, and Texas A&M, they've looked vulnerable. They've gotten in a shootout a couple times, especially with that Notre Dame game, but they are still undefeated.
I think the number's right there. I have no strong opinion here. And like I said, Bobby Petrino, not my favorite guy by any stretch, but god dang, that guy can coach. You got to give credit where it's due. And we're not tending to the gates of heaven. We're trying to win some money, is what we're trying to do. And Bobby can get to the dough. I think the number's right there. I have no strong feeling. If it was 7, I'd probably lean towards a favorite. But like we said earlier, that half point, that's one whole extra possession that you need to be successful to get the dough. So I this would be a stay away game for me. But I think we got a lot of really good, interesting games. This is certainly one of them.
A&M with 3 straight wins head to head here. This is a tough spot. I mean, but they've been closer too. I think this is the biggest number that we've seen in this series in a while.
Yes.
And on the road, I will tell you that I think there's going to be more support for the home dog here than for Texas A&M. But it wouldn't shock me. And again, wins are one thing, but covering is another. And this is a big number in this series, Alex. You have the history right there.
Well, last year,
right?
The final score 21-17.
Yeah.
So
And that was at College Station.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. So.
My numbers say the dog. I actually will be playing Arkansas on quite a few contests, taking that 7.5. I don't know why. I got Mississippi State and Arkansas as my 2 SEC teams that I expect to cover these numbers. But Taylon Green, I mean, the other thing is Bobby what is it? Petrino. I always get that mixed up. He's been working with them the last year and a half as the OC, so now steps up in that spot. I like A&M a lot. They're in my top 5. So I was surprised to see when my number just came a little bit shorter here, closer to 5. So
Total down 4 points.
Total down 4 points. Thank you for bringing up a total because I skipped that Bruce Marshall. And you can go back and watch our Wednesday Sports by the Book show and see all of his plays in a row. But he did like the under in the Ole Miss Georgia game, under 54 in that one. Chris, I'm sorry to do this to you, but we got to. Iowa City here, Iowa hosting Penn State. Interim head coach steps in, and Iowa's coming off a game against Wisconsin where they pitched a shutout. 37-0 here. So 3-point favorite at home against Penn State, total 40.5. What kind of a play are we expecting out of Penn State here?
I made this number 3. It's amazing because, Drew Aller, of course, is out for the season. They had a lot hinging upon him. I don't know hardly a thing about the backup quarterback. So I don't know what this. I had to take a stab at it like everybody else. I made the number 3. All of a sudden, this Iowa team can score a little bit though, and I think the players. And I've been reading a lot of the Penn State stuff. They love James Franklin. They really did, and they feel that they let Franklin down. And depends on how you look at it. I guess you could see that. But I think these kids are going to go out there and play a really strong game. Totals, like what are we looking at? About 40? Yeah, 40 and a half. So pretty low scoring game. I don't know. It's, like I said, I made the number 3. Obviously I'm going to watch the game like I do all Penn State games. Just going to be very interesting to see how they respond. I think they respond well. However, I think this Iowa team's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
Like you said, they pitched the shutout last week and actually scoring some points this year, a little more than normal. So not an easy game either way, but I thought 3 was a good number.
I have a feeling this game's going to be an in-game for a lot of folks. I think it's kind of a wait and see. I think trying to figure out emotionally, the state of Penn State, what their mindset is, how the players feel. I mean, they've got to Yeah, did they let the coach? Did they let themselves down? I mean, they never recovered from that loss at home to Oregon. And listen, again, you're in one of the top conferences in the country. You've got to respond. So they haven't so far. Iowa here looking to, to get back on the plus side. Right, they're just 500 right now. So I think I think it's a wait and see by a lot of folks, which is why it's not like the number's sitting there with a lot of two-way action. I think it's a situation where people are waiting to see, and it'll probably be more of an in game.
Let's go to Madison here. It has been a tough time for the state of Wisconsin, too. Chris, it's not just Pennsylvania, because if you're watching the Brewers series right now, Wisconsin was the team that got shut out by Iowa. Now they have to host the number one team in the country in Ohio State. 26 is the spread. Is that right where you were, too, with your number, Chris?
I'm at a 27.
Okay.
So pretty much right there. Fickle, the coach for Wisconsin, I kind of feel for him. I always kind of liked him. Personally, I thought he had done a pretty good job everywhere he's gone. He's definitely not done a good job at Wisconsin. We'll see what the buyout is. I think he's one of those guys that's, probably a pretty good chance he's not going to be around next year in this spot. And he's playing, the team that I think is the best team in the country.
Yep. And
now they don't just blow everybody out, but they play in a way where they ain't letting you win. And that's, listen, that's the name of the game. Can you get the W at the end of the day? And it's going to be tough to beat, but no play for me. I made it 27. I wouldn't be surprised they get out to a lead and just grind it to death. And it's going to be a matter of time, I guess, and a little bit of luck. Can they cover that 26 or not cover the 26? But it's life and death if you're betting Wisconsin.
An Ohio State defense that's playing against a team that's scored 113 points for the season so far. It's like 18 points a game. You're not going to beat Ohio State. It's not like they've got a great defense, the Badgers. You're not going to beat Ohio State by averaging 18, scoring 18 points. So, this is difficult. Didn't play each other a year ago, and good for Wisconsin that they didn't.
everyone was really excited about that hire with Luke Fickell, and it just has not worked out. So we'll see what happens there. Chris, now let's go to the Holy War here in Provo. BYU hosting Utah, another ranked versus ranked. Still aren't sure how real BYU is. We saw Utah up against their one true test. Texas Tech really put it to them, but they are a 4-point favorite on the road against the Cougars, total 49.
Great betting game here. I forget where we opened the game, but first move came in on the dog.
3.5.
Yeah, and then now it's coming back on the favorite a little bit. I made it number 5, so it's right there. We talk about we don't know what BYU is. We don't. Utah has still been a little inconsistent. I'd be very careful laying any big points with them. And this is the Holy War. That's for a reason. I mean, these two teams, they've had some good battles over the years. It's an intense rivalry. And I got to tell you, I got kids in Montana, so I go through Utah. And my wife has relatives in Utah. There's some really good athletes that come out of Utah. And, so a lot of these teams are pretty darn good, including these two. Mm-hmm. No opinion. This is going to be a good game to watch, though.
22-21 last year, BYU. Remember that finish last year?
Vaguely,
Utah.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. So Utah is one of 2 states with no legalized gambling. Don't think for 1 minute that BYU doesn't know they're home dogs in this game, and that's not bulletin board material. So, yes, 3.5, got down to 3, now back up to 4. So action on both sides. And terrific 5 o'clock start for us, which will be great betting game. I give the Utes credit for bouncing back from that Texas Tech loss, and they come back and they win a week ago. So 2 well-coached teams. Again, look at, BYU was picked to be at the bottom of the conference
2 years in a row.
And here they are again with the first time in their history with a starting quarterback that's a freshman.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, look, full marks, good game to watch, and certainly a great game to book because there's a lot of folks are going to be involved in it.
By the way, when I was with a couple of different outfits. We had places in Wendover, right on the Utah border. You might not be allowed to bet in Utah, but you get over that border, boy. Let me tell you, they bet like crazy. I can tell you that.
I'm not betting this one yet. As Vinny said, it is a later start, so I have plenty of time throughout the day to figure out if I do have a bet on that. But really, I leaned to BYU, but then I had to give Utah some home revenge for losing at home last year. So it's a stay away for me as of right now. I just wanted to bring up Wyoming and Air Force because that totals 57.5. Did that move up? No, I think that's pretty much where it has been.
Come down just a little bit, Alex. Not a lot. Yeah, about a point from the opener.
Air Force is 6-0 to the over. Haven't quite caught up yet. This might be close, but I like what I saw from Wyoming last week. Come from behind win. Caden Anderson. Maybe they figured some things out there in the second half, can put up some points here. I like the Air Force side as well because they have been one of the most unlucky teams. They also have a terrible defense, and they have given up a ton of points. That is why they're 6-0 to the over, as well as they still are doing the triple option, but they can also throw the ball. So I like this game. I like it over. I think we're going to get a lot of points here, and I like the Air Force side.
Home team trend the last 6 years in this one. So
that makes me feel even better. All right, let's go to a big mover here, and that is because we had quarterback questions on both sides. Yeah. We did not see Sam Leavitt last week for Arizona State, and I mentioned that offense relies a lot on him, and that was a brutal, brutal loss for them. Texas Tech as well, Baron Morton is still questionable. He's a game-time decision. Now, Sam Leavitt is probable, so we should see him. And, Vinny, that's why this spread has been all over the place. But right now, Texas Tech is still a 7-point favorite.
And again, Alex, I mean, obviously the most critical position on the field. The game did open when Chris opened a number on Monday morning at 11.5. So money came in, but also obviously have to have an adjustment. It looks more like Leavitt, as you pointed out, is more likely to go Morton a game-time decision, see how he is in warm-ups and stuff like that. Well, I guess we're going to get we'll find out about Texas Tech's depth here, right, Chris? I mean, a big game for both teams. There's only one game separating them in the conference. So, again, pay attention to not overall record, pay attention to conference standings and how the schedule is going, what these matchups look like, right, Chris? Because, again, this is a conference probably with more than one bid.
Well, right now, Texas Tech has just been on fire, but of course now they have some quarterback issues. I'm not that concerned about their quarterback issues, though. So I think their backup's pretty good. But Arizona, Arizona State with their quarterback coming back, like I said, a lot of their offense was geared around him. Mm-hmm. That's why this number fell quite precipitously. Vinny, we opened at 11.5. It was down to 9 pretty quick. Yeah. I think that was more on the Texas Tech questionability. And then when the Arizona State guy was, looked like he's playing, then it just fell even more. Oh. I tell you the truth, when it opened at 11.5, I liked the dog. I thought 9 is what I made it. Now with the adjustment for quarterback, I'm not sure. So I think 7 is probably a good betting number, which is where we're at. And I have no real opinion on this game, but man, I'm looking in that early afternoon window that between 12:30, mostly 12:30 and 1 o'clock. This is a 1 o'clock start. Man, I don't know what we're going to feature on TV because we've got some damn good games. I'm not sure which one, but this certainly has to be in the mix.
To your point, we saw Will Hammond come in against Utah, and he was 13 of 16, 169 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, no INTs. So he did pretty good there, leading his team to a 34-10 win. I'm going to stay off as well. Too much uncertainty there, but I'm with you. I thought that 11.5 was a lot for Arizona State, but Texas Tech has just been covering spreads at a crazy margin, too.
It's one of the best rosters in all of college football.
Chris, the big question was last week the turning point for Texas's season? They have to go on the road now, play against a feisty Kentucky team. They're laying 12 points on the road, and the total's 44.
If you look at just pure numbers, I think Texas would be the side. I always say power ratings just give you a place to start. Kentucky coming off of a bye, Texas coming off easily their biggest win of the season against their arch rival. Forget who's in what conference and all that others. They've been bouncing around. That happened to be a conference game, though, this year. But I think this is a perfect spot for a little bit of, if not a letdown, maybe a soft spot. Again, with Kentucky having that week off, Kentucky's not been great, but they're pretty good. I mean, they can hang in there, and I think they will. I kind of, again, I didn't play this game, but the total's relatively low. I'm at 44. I see a lot of 43.5 in the market. That's really kind of low. I think I think Kentucky's probably the right side here in this game.
I want to see how Texas responds. A lot of times we want to see how a team responds off a loss, right? We've talked about that in a few instances. I want to see how this team responds off of a big win, as Chris indicated. Definitely their best game of the year and against their arch rival for years. Glad they're back in the same conference again, too. So Kentucky, Texas defense was terrific last week. But Kentucky's defense is not awful. I mean, they're better defensively than they are offensively, really. And so this is a spot where we're going to learn some more about Texas here. Was last week that all-out effort, or is that the Texas that we expected to see going into the season? So, and again, they played a pretty good game against Ohio State to start the season. Let's remember that was only a 14-7, but they've been disappointing between that game and last week's game against Oklahoma. Let's see how they respond here at Kroger Field.
44, very low total here, but
they did bet it up by a couple of points, by the way.
As we mentioned, they're both good defenses. We know that for sure. Couple more here. Then I do have a question for you too, and then we do have a college poll we have to get to. But let's go to Oregon's game, and the big question is, how did they respond? They've got to go up against Rutgers. They're laying 17 on the road. Total 61 in this one, Vinny.
Another cross country, right? We were talking about how these, this new alignment and a conference alignments are now having these types of games here. Yeah, I mean, look, not a lot of movement. What we've seen, this is a game that opened 17, so Oregon seems to, probably. I think they'll respond. I think their coach has got their full attention here. Now are they gonna be able to cover the 17? They're gonna be up tempo, right? Let's face it. I mean, they've crisscrossed the country a couple of times here, so I don't think that's an issue. I mean, they did bet this game over, and the fact that it's over, they think folks think that Oregon's going to be able to continue to put up points. Chris,
only made it number 16. I have a lot of respect for Oregon, but that's a tough trip. Yeah. Rutgers, I think, can hang in there. I like Schiano as a coach, and I think that this is going to be, maybe not an easy game, and maybe they are a little bit down after that loss last week. Again, I made it 16, not enough to play, but I tend to favor the dog here.
All right, Chris, I'm excited about this rivalry here. I think I messed up. I said 76. It might be 96, so I'm going to have to double-check that. USC Notre Dame, it could be the last time these two play each other. It's the last one that is scheduled as of right now. But Notre Dame, pretty big favorite here at home. And if you remember last year, they were a favorite on the road, 6.5-point favorite on the road. They won by 14 in that one, 9.5 here at your shop. Is that enough for the Trojans to keep it close against the Fighting Irish?
If it were 10, I'd say yes, but I made the game 7. You're right, though. Like last year, Notre Dame was clearly a much better team. But I think this Southern Cal team has really come on. They could score quite a bit. The 10 would have definitely been a take for me. I did not play this game. I was tempted. It was right there. 9.5 is what they had in the Westgate contest. And I don't know that I've seen any 10s really in the bettable market.
There was one at Circa yesterday.
Yeah. But again, like Vinny would say, don't blink. You better be right there. I definitely favor the dog, but I don't think it was quite enough to play. If this game is going by the wayside, and again, Vinny and I have been watching football. There's 50 years now, probably closer to 60. Yeah, 60 years we've been watching football. Yeah, there's great games. This was one of those first interstate rivalries. I mean, you go back to when USC had a guy named Marion Morrison, who became John Wayne, and Newt Rockne, of course. I mean, this goes all the way back to that. And, boy, I'd hate to see this game go away. It's just a great, great rivalry.
There's a book. Maybe the guys can pull it up. The Game is On. It was about the SC Notre Dame game and the history of it. And, you know, I mean, just, yeah, I hate to see. Listen, I love the great games that we're seeing now in this playoff era, the expanded playoff era. But still, there's something to be said about the traditional games every year. I think that really make for, because they're good. We're talking about teams that have gone at it for a long time. There's a lot of history, and you want to continue to see those great games. By the way, SC, we talk about teams like Oregon in the last game. We talked about having to go to the East Coast, and East Coast teams having to go all the way to the West Coast. SC hasn't had to go to the East Coast this year. Their farthest they have to go is the Midwest. So they've kind of they've many. So instead of crisscrossing, they're just crissing. So so not as arduous a trip. Did not hit 10 yet here, but they did lay 8, 8.5, and 9. So that's how we're at 9.5 here.
Later start time, too, for the Trojans, which should help them because Illinois was super early.
I don't know what we're going to feature in that window either.
That's
you got another game coming up
Chris.
here
that
we're going to talk about.
I loved USC initially. I already have bets on it, taking the 9.5 here, especially because Jaden Mayava, if you remember that game last year, fourth quarter, they were down by 7, driving at the goal line, pick 6, 99 yards the other way. And then he did it again, 2 of them. So that was only his 3rd or 4th start for USC once he took Miller Moss' job. I think that they'll be ready for this. And I like what I saw against Michigan. That showed me that they are big enough in the trenches.
I told you I have a ticket on them to win the national championship, so obviously I need them to win this game outright.
Very good. The only thing is there's weather, too, so check that because that kind of slipped by me where there could be 15 to 20 mile per hour winds.
Breezy.
So that takes away the passing attack that we need from USC. Tennessee, Alabama, here we go. Crimson Tide, 8-point favorite at home, total 59. Vinny, the thing is, Tennessee's been really good offensively, but not so good defensively.
And Alabama has hit their stride, right? Now, in this matchup, the home team has won and covered the last 4. So this is where a home field advantage does mean something. They did take 8.5, and now we're at 8 here. I suspect that there'll be more support for Bama, and the way Bama responded to that first game loss, they're playing great. And they're at home here. There's going to be more support for Alabama here, in my opinion, and another good 4:30 Pacific game, Chris.
I like Bama in this game. I think Tennessee's defense isn't enough to hold them out. And, I think, what's the quarterback's name? Simpson?
Simpson.
I think right now he's garnering a lot of support to get the Heisman, and I can see why his first game of the year is terrible. But, give a guy we talk about on the show occasionally, Bill Conley, I give him credit because even after the Florida State game, he did not lower Alabama much at all. And I don't know what Bill does a lot of work. He does a lot of studying, but he saw something in this Bama team, and he didn't abandon them after one game. And since then, I mean, I still think Ohio State's the best team in the country right now, but Bama might be second. They're right there. They're playing some great, great football. I definitely like them in this spot.
I do too. I think that number is pretty short here. And Bama's definitely.
What'd you make it? I can tell you what I made, 13.5.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, then I have mine rated.
So almost 2 touchdowns.
Well, Alex is looking, Chrissy. I've got Bama number 2 in my power rating.
Yeah,
I've got them 3 less than Ohio State.
Yeah.
I know I have them above
3 to 4.
Miami, but I don't think they're 2. Maybe not. Sorry. Here I got 13 for Alabama at home here. Yep. So looking forward to that one too. I do have a request. Do you have your Louisiana, Oregon State number up? And if I just used my computer.
I'm sure I have it. What you have a game
What's the number, Alex?
Yes. Let me pull that up. This is from Flo. Oh, it is on the extra board. It is 309 009 309. Sorry, Lafayette and Oregon State.
Lafayette. Oh, okay. Not Louisiana. No, I don't have a number on Lafayette. I'm sorry. That's your dad's the milieu.
I'll see if I have that in my email for you.
We'll
Oregon State 22.5 and the total is 54.5. I took 3 points with Oregon State on one of the contests last week, and it did not go well. So I think that's what he's probably
Hasn't gone
alluding
well
to.
all year, Alex.
Right, so he's saying,
with
should we take
Oregon
the
State.
22?
Ask their fired coach. Yeah,
One poll question, and then we're going to take a break, and then we do have to get moving over to NFL. We've got a lot of games to get to still there. Questions for both of you. This is from Giovanni. It feels like the line moves are more crazy now as opposed to back in the day when I was younger. Throughout the week, there are wild swings. What's your thoughts on that?
I think I mentioned it that it seems like they're moving a lot of games early in the week, and it seems like it's more. I can't have it. I don't. This is anecdotal. I don't have it documented, but I was looking just today, and I mean we got a ton of the big games with great two-way action on it. Great, goes one way then back the other. So I don't know the exact answer to that question, but that may be true because we've been doing a ton of business. And in the old days, Vinny, it seemed like when we were starting, I remember the one guy, I mentioned his name, the Saint, would move a bunch of games. And I mean nobody dared to go against him because he was very good. And maybe Billy Walters, of course, moved some games, and guys like my Uncle Jack and things like that. They moved a lot of games, but now we got different outfits with a lot of money, doing a lot of analytics,
A lot of research.
and they're doing them differently. And my friend Scotty Shetler would always say, hand somebody a racing form, hand 20 guys a racing form. Everybody has a different horse. He goes, the same thing in sports betting. You're looking at one way, I'm looking at a different way. And that's how we come to a number, and there's a lot of betting. And it's really working out. So we've had it, knock on wood, we've had a pretty good year.
It's a good question, and thanks to Giovanni for asking it. I mean, so back in the day, I'm not sure how old Giovanni is. He's probably younger than, what we're referencing. There were a lot. When Chris and I first got into the business, there weren't as many line moves because until the weekend, because we weren't putting the games up as early. I mean,
well, that's true
here's
too,
an example, right? I mean, Monday, but there's games going up on Sundays. Now, sometimes you also, I think today there's a lot more conviction too, by the bettors with their numbers, and there's not as many false moves either. So what was a move and plays on earlier in the week, and let's so now I'm talking about the 70s and 80s. Now you go back to the 90s, where we would when I was at Caesars, we'd put up the games on Sunday night, right? So were all of those moves designed to for a play, or were they some of them decoys and things like that so early? But I don't think you see that as much now. I think there's a lot more groups, like Chrissy pointed out, and there's a lot more research and a lot more, I would say, opinions with the formulas that bettors are utilizing, and they're standing by their formulas and their analytics, and good for them for that. They're putting their money up.
Another thing, there's a lot of games like Vinny. When we started, can you imagine Texas, San Antonio, and North Texas being on the menu?
No,
it wouldn't. Yeah, it wouldn't be on.
There's
a whole bunch of them.
We had the premier conferences.
Yeah, that's all we had.
Poll question for you really quick. And then, Ryan, can we see the prop bet that you guys put up before we switch over to NFL? Because, of course, here at the South Point and the Rampart, there is a prop bet. You can bet on which conference the championship team will come from. Is it the SEC, the Big Ten, the ACC, or the Big 12? And there's your numbers right there. Plus 110 for the SEC, plus 120 if you like the Big Ten. And then you're getting 6-1, 8-1, and 14-1 if you like Notre Dame and company, who would probably be in that. Well, Notre Dame's got to win this game first, right? This is their last true test.
Well, so that includes the non-power five. So
yeah, that's
G5.
you're looking at Memphis and
the group
maybe
of five. Yeah.
Yeah.
South Florida,
Maybe South
Tulane. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'd have to look.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What I my eyes aren't that good. What do I got? The Big 12.
Big 12 right now is 8-1.
Yeah, because that's the
They
rise of Texas Tech.
That's
Yeah.
true.
I tell you,
Open 15.
I got Texas Tech. I mean, we'll have to see what happens this week because there's some question marks. This Texas Tech team, I think their roster, other than Ohio State and maybe Alabama, the best roster in college football.
Maybe Alabama. Maybe Miami is a little.
Miami's
we'll
right
see.
there too. They're very
Miami's
strong.
good.
Miami very strong at the line of scrimmage.
The college poll. So if you guys want to give your opinion, which quarterback will throw the most touchdowns this weekend? Is it Julian Sain from Ohio State, Marcel Reed, Texas A&M, Baron Morton, Texas Tech, questionable, or Carson Beck with Miami, Florida, which would be tonight's game? Do you guys have an opinion?
Oh, man. Carson Beck, because I think that game could become a high-scoring game, I think.
Yes, it could.
Yeah, that really
Pay
could.
attention to the totals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at the totals.
I was thinking Marcel Reed, too. Even though I like the other side in Arkansas, I think that one could get to a high-score game. Well, anyways, Julian Sain won. 33% of the votes over Wisconsin. I guess they're thinking a weaker defense, closely followed by Beck at 24%, and then Morton. So thank you for playing along with us. We appreciate that. We are going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to go through NFL Week 7. You don't want to miss this. Don't go anywhere. Sports by the Book.
South Point is also proud to provide a variety of relaxing amenities for the guests who want to be pampered. Soak up the sun and let your stress melt away in our lagoon-style paradise swimming pool. A relaxing getaway where you can bask in the desert sun and enjoy seasonal food and bar service poolside. And if you really want to escape, come to Spa Costa del Sur. From couple suites to a co-ed wet area, our spa caters to business and leisure travelers who want to unwind and elevate their senses. A visit to one of our spa's steam, sauna, or whirlpool treatment rooms will leave any guest feeling like they can take on the world.
Heading to Las Vegas to catch the action at Allegiant Stadium? Skip the traffic and the sky-high room rates of the Strip. Book your stay at the South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa. The South Point is located just 7 miles away from the stadium, and it's a quick trip up the freeway, making it an affordable rideshare or taxi ride. And don't worry about getting here when you land in Vegas. We offer a convenient airport shuttle to get your getaway off to a stress-free start. Shuttles are also available on Raider game days for a small fee. So whether you're rooting for your team or seeing your favorite band in concert at Allegiant Stadium, South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa is your ticket to all the excitement.
Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking with us. Sorry, a little bit long today, but we had a great college football slate here in Week 8. We're going to pick it up a little bit. Week 7 of the NFL. Before we get going, Chris, do you want to talk about your defensive and offensive efficiency rankings that you've been keeping track of? And then also, we talked about the Steelers game a little bit, but any more on that one?
Well, let's first mention the Steeler game, but I could associate it with these rankings right here. And it had me questioning it because when I finished them this week, I looked and I said, boy, Steelers are 4-1, but their rankings aren't very good. You know, you look here, and this is before last night's game, 28th on offense, 16th on defense. I said, man, how are they 4-1? I was really ready to change some things around on the offensive rankings. And then I looked, I said, you know what? After last night, I said, that was a good indicator that the Steelers are not that good. You know, I mean, I hate to say it. I'm wearing my Steeler tie. Everybody knows I'm from Pittsburgh and everything else. But that's a good indicator. The Steelers are not that good because really with these ratings, what I'm trying to establish, how can you win a game, number one, but mostly how can you not lose it? And that's offensive and defensive. I'm thinking about just simply reversing my defensive rankings to judge the offense. I'm doing offense in a different way than I'm doing the defense. I'm thinking about switching it. Might be too late. I have a lot of homework to do this week. But I think these are good indicators. Like you could look at, the Colts are at the top offensively and 7th and 8th. Eagles offense is strong, defense not so much. You can run down the Seahawks, middle of the road offense, very good defense. The Rams, above average offense, great defense. And these are teams, and then, look at Atlanta, maybe a little better than now. A lot still has to go with scheduling. Tampa Bay, I think, has been a little bit lucky, but they've won some real close games. So I think if you look at these ratings, I'm starting to get a little bit more pleased with what they're trying to tell us. And I think, like I said, the Steeler one was one that indicated to me that, I didn't want to admit it, but if you watch last night's game, they're not that good. Offensively, they're maybe doing some things like scoring points and putting some points, but part of offense is you have to keep the other team off the field and not give the other team an opportunity to win. I'll go to the colleges, Ohio State. Not that they're putting up a ton of points, but they're playing the game in a way where you can't beat them.
Right.
And that's what I'm trying to do with these rankings. Now, it's still my first year doing this. I might have to take a little look at it to maybe tweak a few things, but I'm kind of happy with it. It's the first time I've done this. I may change a few things around, but I think there are some good indicators in these rankings.
No, it's a great exercise, Chris. Good job. I mean, the other thing that comes into play too is, home and away splits. Right, a great example of that is Seattle. Seattle's probably better on they're better on the road than they are at home. Right, but
in the last 2 years,
so
with McDonald.
There's other indicators too that you have to catch yourself when you're doing these kinds of things. And then it's the NFL, which is, oh my gosh, if you can. That's why the NFL is so great to book, because of its unpredictability. So.
Let me just mention another guy, a guy we've talked about on the show, Jeff Fogel. Does a lot of
Good
work.
stuff.
And anybody does not, if you're any kind of serious bettor, you have to go get his newsletter. But I think with Fogel, and some of this, and I'm not copying Fogel, but some of the things he's done has kind of influenced where I'm going with my thought pattern. And, I think if you look at Jeff, a lot of the stuff he's doing, again, is not just covering numbers, but, who's being efficient. Like I said, his efficiency ratings are different than mine. But like I said, he inspired me to do some of this myself. So kudos to Jeff. I hope he's watching. Like I said, you got to get his newsletter if you're out there. And by the way, I'll mention one more thing. You look at San Francisco, who's not, now they have some big defensive injuries or two best players. But you look, number one on offense, not that they're scoring the most points, but they're playing in a way that they're not, and a lot of that has to do with coaching. And I think that number is going to probably come down now too. But that's the way, so far, and what are they, 4-2, I think. So they've been pretty good.
I mean, the AFC West right there, I think just sums it up very nicely. I think those numbers, I'm not surprised by any of those, from the Chargers, the Broncos, the Chiefs, and the Raiders. And the Raiders have
their defense is pretty good. Their defense
has been the highlight. So,
Crosby, I mean, come on. How many guys in the league are better than this guy? Not many.
Well, let's get into the games here. And then we do have a poll question for NFL as well. But we got to start off right away, and we can see where their rankings are. But, I mean, two teams that are 4-2 here, but this is across the pond in London. Jacksonville catching 3 points. Chris, total 44.5 against the Los Angeles Rams. No Puka Nacua.
Right.
Because they do have a bye next week. So I would assume they will definitely leave him out.
I think Puka's out. Not just doubtful. He's out.
Okay.
Yeah, which I kind of like Jacksonville plus a 3 here with no Nacua. I think he's been, arguably the best non-quarterback in the league, or maybe the most important. Bijan Robinson may have something to say about that. But offensively, he may be the most important guy in the league, other than quarterbacks. And even with him in, I only made the number 2.5. So I think 3 for me would be a take on this game. Definitely like definitely like Jackson.
Easier trip for the Jags, obviously. They go every year. Rams, what's interesting thing about the Rams and Nacua, he gets banged around. I know when he got hurt last week, and then he came back in, but his ankle is still sore. They use him to block more than you would think for a receiver. Yes. You notice that? I don't understand that philosophy. And God, good for him. He's a team player and he does it. But kind of interesting when you watch how he's utilized. And if you can make a case, he's the best receiver in the league. Certainly one of the most reliable. So I think again, let's remember it's a 6:30 Pacific start. Everybody's got to adjust their schedules, and they will. But a good game here. Pay attention to when not only the travel, but when these teams got there. I think the Jags got there ahead of the Rams, and again, it's an easier trip.
I'm staying off of this one, and you brought up a good point with the Jags always going there, Vinny, but that kind of kept me off of them because if that was Doug Peterson's whole thing,
Yeah.
right? He was well-conditioned to what to say and do to mentally prepare his team for this, and
Maybe an in-game, Alex.
Yeah, I don't know.
You can look at it
with
in-game,
Liam Cohen. Both, should be a good game, honestly, for them there. Let's go to a division matchup here in Arrowhead. A 12-point favorite at home. The Chiefs are against the Raiders. The Raiders are coming off their first home win of the season, and the total is 45, Chris.
That's a lot of points for a team. We just said how good the defense is for the Raiders. They are a good defense. And I'm just telling you, just watching football all these years, especially, it seems like this year, there's a narrowing of how good, there's no teams with zeros on their record except for the Jets.
Thank you.
Sorry, Vinny.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
I'm only speaking the truth, my friend. But, there's just there is a lot of parity. And, parity sometimes can mean mediocrity. I don't think that's quite it this year. I think there's a lot of pretty good teams. 12 is a lot of points in this league. That's a lot of points. And I know we're ready to recrown the Chiefs. And, I even have them at the top of my power rankings, finally after being stubborn the first couple of weeks. But they're playing some great football right now. But all that being said, I like the Raiders in this game. I think that number is just a little too high. I thought this number should be about in the 9-10 range, not 12.
Raiders give the Chiefs a difficult time in Arrowhead. Although now the Chiefs are going to have their entire receiving core intact for the first time this year. And the Raiders, on the other hand, their defense is terrific. It's their offense, their offensive line. And Geno Smith leads the league in interceptions.
Yes, he does.
So, the Chiefs are deceiving. I think they're better than their record indicates. I'm not ready to certainly anoint them as the Super Bowl favorite, but I will tell you this: they're going to get a lot of support in this game. We're gonna need the Raiders in this game. I think the reason that pros haven't gotten involved with it, professional bettors, I mean by that, is waiting to see if it goes up some more. Maybe let the public drive this up a little bit more.
That makes a lot of sense. It would only be the dog for me taking the points here. I went under 45.5 because I recognize that the Raiders' defense is their best unit. So if they can slow down the Chiefs' offense a little bit, I think we can stay under this. I also like the first half under, but I feel like second half might be a little safer in case there is a big lead, and Andy Reid kind of runs out the clock there in the second half for us.
First half under 23, Alex, 23.5.
Yeah.
Good.
Vinny, let's go to Cleveland here. I think there's some weather, so we need to check on this because this total has
There's
dropped.
definitely weather. Yeah.
Right.
Browns,
Mainly wind, I believe.
mainly.
Right,
Yeah.
Chris? Yeah.
Up to 50 miles an hour.
Yeah.
50?
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
But they did lay the 2, Alex.
Okay, take it away, Vinny.
So sorry, Alex. I
No,
jumped
it
on
was
your-
perfect.
I mean, up to 2.5. Is it gonna hit 3? Look, the Browns defense, and you can look at Chris's chart. This is as good a defense as there is in the league. The Dolphins with a lot of issues. Now, I give Tua credit for coming back out. He's the captain, one of the captains of the team. He said some things probably should have remained in-house. Then he came back out. He owned up to it and met with his teammates and tried to correct them. But the fact of the matter is there's issues there. McDaniel had to come out this week and say, no, just given our record, we're not in the selling mode at the trade deadline. And then he had a little caveat for now. I mean, it's, you have a lame duck coach with a lot of issues on a team going into Cleveland. If weather's bad, bad weather favors the dog.
Yeah.
In a game. Now, it's not an enormous spread, but, and the fact that this is, the lowest total on the board too this week is going to speak to where I think, I know professionals are waiting for this number to get to a field goal.
We actually hit a field goal.
Yeah.
For not long. It was 3, and somebody took the 3 pretty quick. You know, even without the win, they only made this number 1.5. You know, like Vinny said, I mean, the weather, that kind of, it tends to favor the dog. There's just a lot of crazy things that can happen. Now, that being said, you're not getting 7 in this game. You're getting, 2.5 or whatever, even if maybe you want to play the money line. But the weather situation, I think, definitely favors the dog. And I kind of favor the dog just legitimately on the square.
Well, yeah, I mean, Dylan Gabriel just his 3rd start now, so it's still a lot of unknowns there. That is a game that I'm definitely going to stay away from, just with all the question marks there. Let's go to the Patriots lane 7. This is the Mike Vrabel revenge game. The big question is if he's going to run up the score, if he has the opportunity. And Patriots have looked pretty good, but as we talk about, 7 points is a lot, Chris. And now we've got an interim head coach here for Tennessee at home.
Yeah, I kind of think he will if he can. I don't think it's kind of like the square way to think. You know what I mean? I think it's a lot of points. I think Vrabel, if he has the opportunity to do it, he probably will. But I think Mike wants to go in there and win the game.
Yes.
I think that's the first thing he wants to do.
Take care of business.
And, I could see some wise guy play, has come in on the +7. I didn't like it at first, but the more I look at it, I said, yeah, that's kind of counterintuitive. And in the NFL, you have to be a little counterintuitive. You have to be willing to buy low and sell high.
That's right.
And I think I don't like this as a play either way. Strictly numbers wise, I made the number a little bit higher, but most of that was, like I said, I'm afraid my thinking was a little bit on the square side there.
Patriots playing extremely well. Drake May is starting with him, right? Team has taken on the Vrabel mindset style, and Titans are going to have to rely on, for the Patriots to win this game, they have to be efficient and take care of the ball. No turnovers. Turnovers could be a great equalizer, but we're going to need the Titans in this game. I know that. They're going to get the majority. The Patriots will get the majority of the support.
I made it right there at 7, but I do agree with that. Kind of a buy low, sell high on the Patriots, because laying a whole touchdown on the road here, a lot has changed since the beginning of the season. Let's go to Soldier Field here. We've got more weather. The Bears, short week, but they're coming off a really good win over the Commanders. Vinny, they're 4.5-point favorites over the Saints. The Saints are 1-5. They're feisty, but now they are away from home, and it is a weather game here.
I think Kamara's, if I'm not mistaken, I think he's probable for this game too for the Saints, which they'll need. And one thing to watch for the Bears, Carlos Santos has got a thigh injury, so not 100% if he goes at all, and if it's weather. Well, you figure they're gonna there's a couple of ways to look at the kicking game in weather, right? I mean, obviously you're not going to see as many long field goals if it's a crosswind or not, but certainly Bears watching, always watching weather and watching injury reports, but who the injuries are. And the Bears, they won the game on a last-second field goal last week. So,
yes.
Look, both these teams showing some game, and I think after last week, even though the Saints have gotten support from the opener on Sunday night, Monday morning, I think the public's going to be in on the Bears on this game, including our producer, Ryan. There he is, right there. I hear him. So, I know he's not going to bet the Saints.
What's
Anything
next?
for you? Nothing for you in that one?
No.
No.
Yeah, the Bears have played a little better the last couple weeks. I mean, there's no question about it. I'm not sure they've turned some things around yet, though. I'm just not sure. I made this number 5.5. It's right there. But I think young Mr. McCormick has some reason for optimism. But let's see if they can keep it going. Yeah. Like I said, they've definitely have played better. Does that mean they've turned the corner? I'm not so sure. I made the game 5.5. I think the Saints have been pretty darn competitive right now.
I made it a little higher too. I wouldn't be so much playing the favorite. I'd be fading the dog just because they do play at a dome, and Spencer Rattler has not
Yeah.
done great in these outdoors. So I just think the weather favors Chicago in this one. But
If the Bears have turned the corner, they have to take care of business in this game.
yes, but
That's the bottom line.
By the way, we've had good two-way action this game. I think we did open at 4.5. They laid it up to 5.5. Now we're back to 4.5. So we've got a lot of play. Of course, we moved those numbers a little more, a little less judiciously. Kind of in the dead zone there.
okay, let's go to Minnesota here. Philly, just a 1.5 point favorite on the road against the Vikings. Total 44. Chris, now JJ McCarthy is limited at practice, but I don't think he's
Looks
going
like
to
he's
start.
out.
I think it's Carson Wentz
I think
again.
it's Carson Wentz. Yeah.
But we know the Eagles' issues, and the last time we saw them, they got beat pretty good by the New York Giants.
Yeah, I think the issues for the Philly for the Eagles, I think they're real. Saquon Barkley is on pace to rush for like about 900 yards. It's way different than last year.
Yeah.
I've loved Jalen Hurts. I've talked highly about him, but I mean a lot of that has to do with the threat of the running game. Is really something that has aided him. Let me find on my charts, where did I have the Eagles defense? Below par. I have them 20th. I think this is a team that's somewhat vulnerable right now, and I think Minnesota, their defense is fantastic. And they have number. What do I have their defense?
You had their defense.
I think number 1.
High, yeah.
I have it number 1. I can't find them on my chart here. Minnesota number 2 on defense. So I think they're gonna greatly restrict them, and I think they walk out of here with a victory. I just think they got the wrong favorite in this game.
A couple of years ago, issues with the Eagles, like internal issues, overcame it last year. Had a terrific year, obviously win it. Kind of seems like this issues again. I'm not sure. Minnesota, right off the bye, right, and then we played in Europe, and then they elected to take last week
Yes.
off, right? So, yeah, I there's been support for the home dog here, and I think it's gonna continue, to Chris's points.
They're definitely missing Kellen Moore, who we were just talking about, head coach now of the Saints. But yeah, their offense is definitely off right now. What do you think about this one, Vinny? The Jets opened a small favorite. I think that number was right, but now favorite flip here to Carolina, 1.5 on the road, total 41.5.
Jets are, the Jets have to play the opposition, and they're their own worst enemy. No difference in last year and this year in terms of penalties and turnovers. That said, it's Carolina here. I mean, to me, I think there'll be some late support for the Jets. I'd be surprised if there's not. If there's a game that they're winless, they're the only team that's winless so far, and again, finding ways to lose games. Carolina might be a tonic for the Jets here. Maybe that's an old Jet fan being optimistic, but I mean, it is Carolina here, and if you're the Jets, you've got to get your pride and get your act together, because they're just not good. And but hey, the Panthers are better at home too than they are on the road. So I wouldn't get. I'm a little surprised at this move.
3-3. I'm pretty surprised that the Panthers have found a way to win 3. But you're right, 0-3 on the road.
Well, when I made my numbers, it came out the Jets 1.5, and I'm looking at, man, I cannot post that number because I know I'm going to get flooded with Carolina money. And I think I wound up posting that number because that's really what the market said, and I didn't want to get too involved in this game. I don't know. I mean, this would be a game. It's hard to bet. Like I said, I did make the number 1.5 Jets, and it's mostly 1 now Carolina. I mean, that's not enough to make you bet, I don't think. But just two bad teams. I see some signs where Carolina is playing a little better.
Oh yeah.
I'm not a Bryce Young fan, but he seems to have gotten a little bit better. And I don't know, like I said, not numbers wise, but gun to my head, I'd probably take Carolina.
So Ryan did share with me. Ryan, is this from Action Network? Okay, so the team's getting 60% or more of action tickets as wise so far. The Falcons +2, Cowboys +2. We haven't got the Panthers -1.5, Patriots -7, Giants +7, Colts and the Dolphins +2.5. So if you are looking to kind of be contrarian and go on the other side, then you would be going for the Jets to get a win here in this one. Let's keep it moving, though. We've got to go to SoFi here. The Chargers, small favorite, 1.5 against the Colts. Total 48.5, Chris.
Well, again, if you look at my charts, I got the Colts high up, 7th offensively and 8th defensively. But I think more than that, I can see where this might not be the greatest spot for the Colts, and I'm a little, I'm a little shell-shocked that so much money ticket-wise is shown on them. But we do look at the Chargers' offensive line, and that's where this team has fallen into trouble. They lose their left tackle before the season, lose their other good offensive lineman a couple weeks ago. Between Greg Roman, the offensive coordinator, and Jim Harbaugh, the head coach, we know they want to run the ball. That's been their MO for a long time. And right now they've turned kind of into a passing team.
Yes.
I love Herbert. I've talked about him. I think he's just a notch below those other guys that we consider the best. But I'm not sure he could carry the team without a good running game and without a good offensive line. And, I'm going to stay with the Colts here. I kind of like them. That's definitely going to be one of my plays. Like I said, I hate having the public on my side, but you know what? We've been doing this a long time, Vinny. The public wins their share of games too. You can't just blindly go against it.
Yeah, good game. Again, gets the afternoon off and running. By the way, we do have 4 games in the afternoon this week, which is nice. Started 2 or 3 games in the afternoon.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
It's been the Chargers so far, but the offensive line concerns me, and the Colts too. Being able to run the ball too, I think helps them greatly. That said, I think there'll be some Colt. Yeah, we'll see some Colt money here. I don't. This is going to be a good betting game, a good game to book. There'll be support for both teams in this game.
Chargers are going to watch the Chiefs host the Raiders. Right now, they are still at the top of the AFC West, but it's. Of
course, they have the tiebreaker too.
They have the tiebreaker over the Broncos,
so far,
but now here comes the Chiefs too. So they're kind of
it's a tenuous position.
Yeah.
Yes, very good.
Showing off my Robert Morris education again.
And if it was on your bingo card, mark it down. But let's go with another team right here in the AFC West, going to the Mile High City. Denver, 7-point favorite at home. That feels like a lot of points there, Vinny, against the Giants, who are feeling fat and happy off of that big Thursday night win over the Eagles, total 40.5.
Yeah, holding steady at 7 here. Look, a terrific defense, one of the best defenses in the league. Of course, the Giants coming off 2 back-to-back. They won 2 games, and then they went on the road. They lost to New Orleans, right? Or was that kind of sandwich? No, that was sandwiched, right?
Sandwich.
So, again, on the road, different, very emotional at home. Good young players. I think one thing the Giants have to be concerned about with Jackson Dart is you cannot ask this guy to take this many hits. He's taken more hits in 2 games than a lot of quarterbacks have taken through 6 so far. I love him. I think he's terrific. Scadabo's been a great addition with his emotion and everything. Giants are headed in the right direction, but figure out a way to protect your quarterback. This is a terrific defense right here.
Yes.
Before after like about 3 games before they made the switch to Dart, I was surprised how good the Giants rated in my rankings. So I think when you see something like that, that's a sneaky good team that could suddenly turn some things around. But Denver's pretty good too. And it scares me that the public is so far on the Giants. I can see where, you got Scadaboo taking his shirt off, and, Jackson Dart looks like the kind of guy that, good-looking, blonde-haired kid, the New York quarterback. I mean, come on, guys are going to love this guy. I think 7's the right number. That's what I made it. I see it trending up a little bit. I think the wise guys might wind up on Denver. I'm not sure that's the right side, though. I think if this number got to 7.5, and like I said, I made it 7. It's hard to just say, this half point or that. That's a pretty damn big half point. And like we talked about earlier, that's 7.5. That's one extra possession, or you better score something. At 7, I don't like anything. If it got much higher, though, I would take a stab with the Giants. But I think the public being on the Giants definitely scares me.
I was going to say, we haven't really seen Denver win by a big margin, but we did see
Right.
28-3 at home against the Bengals. And then, of course, it was the London game that was tight against the Jets. So I made it a little higher, but I was going to look for a Giants team total under and kind of try to fade them on the road. Like I said, fat and happy. And then you're going up against a really good defense in elevation. So looking for an angle like that to play it rather than laying the 7, because I do think that there's a possibility it's a low-scoring game and they keep it close there. Let's go to Dallas. Highest total on the board. And it's not even the Lions in this one. It is the Cowboys and the Commanders, 54.5. Vinny, Cowboys are a point favorite at home here.
Yeah, 53.5 wasn't high enough. Did take the Cowboys in this game. Remember, we opened this game with the Commanders as a small favorite, and now look, Cowboys at home figure to rebound off of last week going into Carolina and losing that game, particularly the way they did. So not a real surprise that they went with Dallas in this game. What's going to be the buyback with the Commanders? I'm not so sure, especially after the way they got beat on Monday against the Bears. So going to be interesting. Going to be interesting to see how this one plays out. But certainly more support for the Cowboys so far, Chris.
Not one of my plays, but I kind of like Washington in this game. But the fact that C.D. Lamb is coming back, that scares me, because I think right now, and again, I'm looking at my Dallas numbers. I got them the number 3 offense. That's mostly without C.D. Lamb. I think once he comes back, that's really going to open a lot of things up. And I'm afraid that that could be the wrong side. And I look at Washington. Washington's okay. I mean, they're good, but they're really below par in the metrics that I've been using. And again, not that I would get married to any of these, but what are we looking at? Dallas mostly like 1 right now. I thought Washington should be a very slight favorite in this game, but with C.D. Lamb coming back, that'd be. I'm not saying I'd bet Dallas, but I'd be very careful betting against them.
I didn't like those numbers I saw because I'm pretty high on the Commanders, but that offensive number is partially with Marcus Mariota too.
No, yes,
So
for sure.
once we get more with Jaden Daniels, I mean, 3 turnovers in that Monday night game, but that's another point. Short week preparing for Dallas
There
now.
you go.
So, and still have their injuries. So it's a stay away. I still have Washington 2.5 on the road against Dallas, but I will do some adjusting.
I think that's what I opened it.
Yes.
2.5?
Yeah. Washington was 2.5 on the opener.
Yeah.
I still think
All
there's
Dallas
that
so
gap,
far.
but we shall see. 2 more here. We've got one more in that 1 o'clock window with the Cardinals. No Kyler Murray, right?
Looks like Kyler Murray is out.
He's out again. Okay, so 6.5 for the Packers on the road, total 45. Chris, one thing we have been trying to watch is the Packers, whether or not they're as good on the road as they are at home. And so far this year, it's definitely questionable.
I'm starting to get the feeling that the Packers are a paper tiger. I have my questions about Love. I'm just we haven't penciled in as like one of the best teams in the NFC, if not the entire NFL. I'm just not sure that's right. I think they may be a bit overrated. No, okay, no Kyler Murray. I love Jacoby Brissett. I've been on this guy. I know he's not going to be a starter for a Super Bowl contender. I get that. I also think he's one of the best backup quarterbacks in the league. He's a smart kid. I think you could see the team rallies around him, plays hard for him. I'm almost happy that Kyler Murray's not in this game. This is definitely one of my plays. I'm going to have to give it out at plus 6.5, though there's some 7s around. But they're 7 with some juice on the dogs. So I'll give it out plus 6.5. This is definitely one of my plays. I think Arizona keeps this game tight.
Vinny's been saying that he didn't like the body language and he didn't know if the players responded to Kyler Murray, and it did look like it changed with Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, it definitely did, and I think the question too with the Cardinals is some coaching. I mean, again, when they were trying to come back, in some of these recent games, you've got one of the best tight ends in McBride in the league. You've got an outstanding young wide receiver. They're chasing the game without. I think they were out of timeouts, and they're running the ball. 5 out of 6 down. I mean, so something. 7. If it gets to 7, I think it'll be a take, and it's simply a take on the number. But I think the public is going to be on the Packers here, who, as both of you pointed out, are not. They're frankly not as successful and not as good on. They've got to be a true contender. They have to be better on the road. They've not shown that yet.
All right, here we go. Our Sunday night game. I'm looking forward to this one. Vinny, start us off. We got the Niners are a 2-point favorite at home. I believe they're still going to keep Purdy out. Mac Jones has done very good, though. And the Falcons are coming off a huge win over the Bills, total 47.5.
Mac Jones is waiting for Purdy to come back so he doesn't keep taking a beating. Good for him. I mean, certainly, filled in quite admirably. I think the Niners are going to get healthier offensively, but their defense, as Chris pointed out earlier, 2 of their top 2 defensive players are out, and they're out for the season. I believe Kittle is going to be activated for this game, Alex. Does that sound right?
Fully planned to return versus Falcons, so that's the plan.
Now, here's the Falcons. Look, here's the thing about the Falcons. Defensively, Chris, I like to see Chris's metrics on this because their defense is good. They did a terrific job against the Bills. And offensively, they've got as good a running back tandem as there is in the league. So not a real surprise that the bettors took the 3 with the Falcons and the 2.5. That said, there'll be carryover and support for the Niners in this game, particularly with Kittle coming back. I got to be honest with you. There's not a huge drop-off so far this year between Purdy and Mac Jones. It's just there just hasn't been. Typically there's a pretty significant drop off from starter to backup. That not in this case. A lot of it has to do with the fact that Purdy's been hurt for an extended period of time. So there'll be some support for the Niners, but it's been about the Falcons so far, Chris.
What number are we quoting on this one?
2 right now.
Yeah, 2. Oh, man, 2. I made the game 1.5. So no opinion there. But, boy, that 3.5 that was sitting out there, because I think Atlanta's defense is very good. Although, caveat, they're not that good outdoors. They've played 1 game, I think, outdoors, lost 30-0.
Carolina, yeah.
The Carolina?
Yeah.
At home.
I mean, that's got a
It was the most unusual game so far this season.
Yes.
And even betting wise, the whole world was on Carolina that week. I don't know. Let's just stop there. But that was weird that they bet like that and that kind of a result. That was very strange. But otherwise, their defense has been very good. And I don't know. I think, I have no opinion on this game. I'm going to watch a game and root for whoever the joint needs. I have no real opinion. But at 3.5 or 3, I would definitely like the dog.
Just watching their games, it reminds me of what you are doing with the efficiency, because they aren't the flashiest or the best, but you can tell they're playing to win and to not lose, to keep you off the field and just doing the little things.
Let me see what I got their number here. Yeah, they're number 6 on offense, number 5 on defense, and that includes that Carolina game.
Yeah, that's pretty good in there then. Let me pull up our sheet here so I can check in if there's any more questions. Vinny, will you run through the numbers that we have? We have a doubleheader on Monday, but we will go through that game. Monday show, 10 a.m.
Yes.
Join us, Sports by the Book. Ryan and myself, and then Chris will join us to recap the weekend, and then you can give us your thoughts on those two games.
Yep.
Number-wise, though, Vinny?
Yeah, 2 games, doubleheader, and this time a little different scheduling. I kind of like the 4:15 and 5:15 Pacific, but this one's 4 o'clock. The Buccaneers at the Lions, a great game. 2 teams that are really have a lot of people excited and are be getting support at the betting counter. So this one is a really good game. The Lions, who still beat up physically and now with a suspension in the defensive secondary, they've been bet up from 4.5 to 6 right now, and the total on that game 52.5. That's only gonna go up. And then the second game, 7 o'clock Pacific, is going to be the Seahawks hosting the Texans. That game opened with the Seahawks as 3-point favorites, did touch 3.5 and back to 3. So 41 on that total, came down about a point. That's the movement on the doubleheader on Monday so far, and I know you're going to hit on it on Monday's show.
Thank you, Vinny. I feel like a lot of people are just betting that, the Lions can't lose 2 in a row. We saw them lose to the Chiefs, and now they're going to just lay all the points. But that should be a great matchup. Both of those should be really good games. Checking in here, thank you, everybody. It was a very active, engaging chat today, so we appreciate all of you.
Yes.
The poll question for the NFL was, which team on the road can extend their win streak to 3? Is it the Colts? They're catching 1.5 against the Chargers. The Bucks, they're catching 6 at Detroit. Falcons +2 at San Francisco, or Texans +3 at Seattle. Wow, those are some good home teams that we have. They're going up against. The answer was the Colts, +1.5 against the Chargers. 42% of the vote. A distant second was the Buccaneers at 6. That's the Baker Mayfield effect. And then the Falcons at 24% of the vote.
Can I get my 3 games?
Please give your 3 games. Yes.
I'm not married to 3 or 4 or 2 or whatever I like. I got 3.
Pick a number. Go ahead.
I like the Vikings +1.5. I like the Colts +1.5. And like Arizona +6.5. So 3 dog. 3 dog roundy.
There we go. Love it. And
3 twos and an all.
I think our social media handles are usually up there. Chris, yours is a little different than just your name, right?
At Andrews Sports.
At Andrews Sports. Because in case people want to follow you, they need to get your college picks that you will
I will
tweet.
have my college picks at 5 o'clock. I gave out one already just because they play shortly. I like Minnesota against Nebraska.
And then we can find Vinny at the Sports by the Book one, right?
Vinny by the book.
Vinny
That's
by
right.
the Book. That's it. So Sports by the Book and Vinny by the Book.
There's a guy, Chris Andrews, who's a Irish politician. So he stole my name, that dirty rat.
And then mine, of course, at Alex White with 2 E's in White. Ryan McCormick, thank you. And Sean and Andrew and
Vince for making me straighten my collar.
That's right. Keeping
everybody,
you sharp.
we appreciate you. Thanks, everybody, for following and watching. Chris gave us 3 NFL. Is there any more on the checklist? I think we're good to go. 2 hours, Football Frenzy. You can find us every single Friday right here at the South Point studio. We'll see you again Monday, where we will recap the entire weekend. Best of luck to you. Let's cash some tickets. We'll see you on Monday here on Sports by the Book.